Welcome to Lang Park for the 31st State of Origin match. The crowd record here was achieved in 1984 when almost 34,000 turned up for Game 9 of the series. Tonight, a terrific crowd. It's a sellout. And of course, Queensland very much the underdogs, a very inexperienced side. But what is this crowd worth to Queensland? It's got to be worth points because it is such a terrific and one-eyed crowd. They just give their all to their team. New South Wales are going to have a tough time, believe you me, but this is going to be a game to remember. Good evening. My co-host for tonight is former international and a man who achieved 4 Man of the Match awards in just 13 appearances for New South Wales, second only to Wally Lewis with 7. One of the game's greats, Peter Sterling. And Peter, just how good would you have been with both arms?
Much better, Ken. The shoulder operation has been successful, but really Lang Park is not the place to be showing any sign of weakness.
What's the crowd worth to Queensland, do you think?
Well, it's going to play a role. You know, we've seen in the past that they have a great record here, and it's a real test for the New South Wales guys' concentration as to how they can blot that out of their minds.
Intimidating for New South Wales?
If they let it get to them, it can be, but I think there's enough experience in the side to overcome that.
All right, now the team lineups. First up, we're going to the Blues of New South Wales, a squad that contains 17 internationals. But before that, let's go to the New South Wales dressing room, and here they are, the boys limbering up for what is the game of their lives here tonight. Peter, talk us through what happens here.
Well, it's a very tense time, obviously. The guys are very nervous going through their final preparations. We see the guys getting strapped, plenty of strapping involved there. And, you know, they're going through what their individual roles will be. And I suppose the bottom feeling is survival. And each guy, I guess, has a different way of getting himself ready for the game. It's a great insight into the guys' preparations. You know, you have a guy like John Ferguson who actually went to sleep before a State of Origin. They had to wake him up 10 minutes before the game, and yet one of the legends of the game, Arthur Beetson, could be physically ill before matches. All right, well, there they are, the Blues getting all toned up.
Okay, right now let's take a look at that New South Wales team, and here's how they look. We've got 17 internationals in this one. Well, in contrast, Queensland's squad of 17 contains just 7 internationals. By Wally Lewis's own admission, the most inexperienced side he's skippered in an Origin series. It's also a team hard hit by injuries. Well, Peter Sterling, that's how they line up. I think Martin Bell is going to have the game of his life now to lead that pack to a victory here tonight against New South Wales.
Enormous pressure on Martin Bella. He is the most experienced by far in the Queensland pack. That's where these games are won, and he's going to have to lead the way for the Maroons.
Okay, what do you expect of Wally?
I expect big things. I have expectations. He is a great player. He will have an impact on tonight's game. The New South Wales team really have to lessen that impact by taking away his think time.
All right, but down there on the sideline right now is the big man of the game, big Darrel Eastlake.
Thanks, Ken. Well, if there's a place you want to be part of rugby league, this is it. Lang Park in Brisbane, certainly the home of rugby league here in the Sunshine State. And a man that's worn the Queensland colours with so much pride in joining us, the Nines Wave, the sports team tonight, is Bobby Linder. Bobby, I mean, a fantastic place to run out on.
It is, Darrell. It's tremendous ground. The atmosphere here tonight's terrific, as always. And once you play on this ground, you never forget what it's like to run out in the Queensland colours.
A lot of players seem to get a second chance. Mike McLean for Queensland's one of them. Paul Hoffey be sitting there going through nervous tension. Have you been there and had to do it on your first night?
Oh, for sure. I've got no doubt there'll be plenty of nerves there. But you got to remember, these players have prepared for this game for a whole week. And, you know, they're ready for what's going to happen out here. The crowd might shock them at first, but they'll settle into the game and handle things pretty well.
Well, you can hear the crowd. They're getting revved up. Ray Warren, my co-commentator tonight, is with a man that's worn the blue jumper with so much pride.
Thanks, Darrell. Yes, well, I'm with Gavin Miller, one of the New South Wales captains that has led the Blues out here onto Lang Park down through the years. And though Bob Linder may have some fond memories of Lang Park, Gavin Miller, I don't think that applies to you.
Certainly not, Ray. A contributing factor in my demise as a player has certainly been the inability of me as a player to be in a winning side at Lang Park.
Gavin, how do you see this? I mean, I know odds-on favourites New South Wales again, but I've heard that before.
Well, we've been odds-on favourites here before, Ray. We're odds-on favourites today. There's no guarantees in rugby league.
Gavin Miller, back to you, Ken Sutcliffe.
Thanks very much, Ray. Well, here are the scenes in the Queensland dressing room. The guys going through the same process. The nerves are all about. There's Graham Lowe, very pensive in the background as we go through this team, which is a lot of question marks hanging over it. Can they perform tonight? New South Wales very much 5-2 on favourites when betting East this afternoon. Big Paul Hoff came in as a replacement for Gary Belcher, and that's a big one for him.
Yes, it's a big game for Paul Hoff, and I believe it's an enormous loss for the Queensland side. No disrespect to Paul Hoff, but to have a player of the calibre of Gary Belcher pull out 2 days before a State of Origin cannot help their preparation.
And there's Michael Hancock. He's a man searching for form, Sterlo.
Yes, he came back and played quite disappointingly after the Kangaroo Tour, and in fact lost his test spot over there. And on the other wing, of course, you've got Willie Kahn, a young up-and-coming player, certainly one player that the Queensland selectors see as a future international.
And there he is, big Mal Meninga, a veteran, and there's going to be a lot expected of him tonight. He and Wally, they're going to be partners in crime, I would imagine.
I'd say so, and big is the operative word. Have a look at the size of the man. A daunting task for the likes of Eddinghausen and Daly, and you know, if they can stop his forward progress, that's going to be a plus for the Blues as well.
And there's Marty Bella. Marty, you've got to do the job tonight. You've got to have the game of your life. And we've got the game of our life here on Wide World of Sports when we present the first State of Origin for 1991. We'll be back right after the break. Welcome back to Lang Park. The tossing of the coin, Wally throws her up and down she comes. And let's see who has won the toss. I think Benny Elias has got it. Yes, he has. He's making a decision on what he's going to do. He'll probably run with the ball. So first blood to New South Wales here at Lang Park tonight. Maybe it's an omen for New South Wales. Maybe not. There's plenty hinges on this one. And the crowd is going to make a lot of the difference in what happens out there tonight. You know, when the teams were announced, there was unanimous agreement that the New South Wales pack was bigger and more experienced than Queensland's. In the front row, though, reputations will count for nothing when the whistle blows for the kick-off in just a few minutes' time. The crowd expect fireworks from the big man, and even though clubmate will be playing against clubmate, no quarter will be given. Well, a man who knows what a forward battle is all about is down on the sideline tonight. Gavin Miller, what do you think of what the boys just said there?
Well, thanks, Ken. I expect New South Wales, led by Ben Elias, to dominate up front. I think they'll lay the foundation for Cliff Lyons and his outside men to do what they do best, and that's run the football. Back to you, Ken.
Thanks, Gavin. Well, no one who saw it will ever forget the try that Mal Meninga scored in that second test against Great Britain earlier this year. Ricky Stewart made the break, but Meninga finished it with the power of a juggernaut. Well, Laurie Daly seems to have a bit of a dilemma. What do you think down on the sidelines, Bob Lindner?
Well, Ken, you know, Mal Meninga's a very hard man to get around in attack, and I heard a bit of press during the week that ET was going to try and run around him. Well, if there's a man in the New South Wales team that can do that, it's certainly ET. He's very fast, but I know Mal slides in defence, and if he's going to cross Mal and get around him, ET's got to cover a lot of ground. On the other hand, ET also said that he's going to hit Mal high in defence. Well, Mal's got one of the strongest palms in the game, and he's a very strong man, so I wish him luck there. It's going to be a lot harder than just, you know, what he expects, I think, Ken.
Okay, thanks, Bob. What do you think, Peter Sterling, about Meninga's role here?
Well, I think the important thing in marking Mal Meninga is to get to him before he can get momentum up. So if you can arrange it, you want to be there before the ball arrives almost. And I suppose the fact that Eddinghausen and Daly have good speed will enable them to do that.
Has he got a weakness, Meninga?
Well, sometimes a stepper or a fast man can give him problems in defence. So it's not going to be all one-way traffic. He'll have his hands full in defence as well.
In many media circles in Sydney, the Queensland pack has been written off, but Mal Meninga doesn't believe everything he sees and hears. Welcome back to Lang Park, just a few minutes away from kick-off the first State of Origin match for 1991. Now, when that first State of Origin game was played here at Lang Park in July 1980, the Queensland team contained someone who was destined to become the player of the 80s, the man they call the King, Wally Lewis. Tonight he's back, and marking him is the current 5'8" Cliff Lyons. Now, marking the King will be one of the tussles under the spotlight tonight. Well, Bob Lindner down the sidelines, that is going to be a very interesting tussle between those two 5'8" of very, very different ability.
Most definitely, Ken. They're both the playmakers of both teams. I think the biggest difference about them is that Wally Lewis actually takes full control of his team, and he certainly lets his players know where he wants them to go. Whereas Cliffy, I mean, he's a magic player, but sometimes, you know, the players around him aren't quite sure what Cliffy's going to call. But never you mind, he'll have a few tricks up his sleeve tonight, and it'll be a great clash. Both of them are coming back from knee injuries over a few months ago, so as far as fitness is concerned, they'll be pretty much the same. I think it'll be a terrific tussle.
Well, thanks, Bob. Peter, that ad-lib thing of Cliff Lyons, I think now that he's played with this team so often, that may not be a problem anymore.
Well, I think he's a much more mature player than we've seen him before in State of Origin fixtures. And the fact that he was a member of the Kangaroos team, a lot of these guys were involved in his play over there. I think the combination that they've worked up will work in their favour tonight with Cliff Lyons.
When Peter Sterling retired from representative football, the reins were handed over to a small man from Brisbane with a big heart and a bigger sidestep, Alan Langer. The kangaroo halfback position seemed to be his for a long time. But last year, his form slipped and another exciting player, Ricky Stewart, played in the Test series against Great Britain. Tonight, they line up on opposing sides, and there's a lot at stake. There's nothing much between them, Peter.
No, two very complete players, strike players, and the fact that they're going to handle the ball more than any other player apart from the dummy halves, it's going to be important which direction they're going to send that football.
Anyone a better, bigger name player, better big game player?
No, well, as Ricky Stewart said, Langer he's going to be a key tonight. One thing that I would stress is their kicking game. Stewart has got a magnificent long kicking game. The contrast is Langer has a great short kicking game.
Every player who has run onto Lang Park for the State of Origin game will tell you there's nothing quite like it anywhere else. New South Wales skipper Benny Elias describes the fierce parochialism of the Queensland crowd. It's intimidation. Benny thrives on it. Welcome back to Lang Park for the 1991 series State of Origin Game 1, and our callers this evening, Darrel Eastlake and Ray Warren. Darrell.
Thank you, Kenny. Well, no doubt about it, you're looking at the referees out on the ground now. Very big moment for those two, the touch judges, Ross Pickard from New South Wales, Peter Bedros from Queensland. In goal, judges Jim Cox and Russell Leese. Big crowd here, Ray Warren. Amazing emotion already we've seen tonight.
Yes, I don't think the fans have let the promoters down. It's a full house, and that full house sign has been up for some 3 or 4 weeks now. And as you can see, just about every vantage point has been taken at Lang Park, which has got something very special as a rugby league arena. It's probably the best rugby league arena that you can watch a game at. It was sort of constructed for the game, and that's what makes it so different.
Big night for Billy Harrigan, his first time here at Lang Park in State of Origin conditions.
Yeah, there's a lot of debutants here tonight. Bill, of course, is one of them, but he was entitled to the job. He got the job, and I guess there's a few butterflies there for him at the moment. Here they come.
Wally Lewis leading the side out now, and listen to this, the first time he's come to Lang Park in the Queensland colours since leaving the Broncos, and this crowd saying welcome home to Wally Lewis in the biggest possible way. There he is, the Emperor of Lang Park, back in his beloved maroon jumper. Steve Jackson, the big number 10, you can see Larson there from North Sydney. Look at this crowd just loving every moment. And they're the solid Queenslanders. Underdogs tonight, no doubt about that. Here comes New South Wales.
Benny Elias, of course, he smelt success last year, and he'll be out to keep that record intact. He's got a giant of a pack around him. He's got some exciting backs to use if the forwards can get a roll on as the reserves come through the gate. Benny already starting to gee them up. Locker Roach dressed up for a night in the office. And Laurie Daly back from injury tonight.
Jesse Hasler playing lock forward tonight for the Blues, and gee, we expect some from him. Cliffy Lyons, the man that's got to contain the king.
Well, that's the blue jumper. He's got the green one, and of course he wants to keep it. And here he is, the sensational centre from Cronulla, Andrew Ettinghausen, being compared these days with Reg Gasnier.
Queensland now going to the huddle. Mal Meninga, the giant of a man. Peter Jackson back in the jumper he loves so much. Look at Steve Jackson, the emotion on his face. Hancock is there. Well, Peter Sterling, you've been through this. Amazing emotion here.
Yes, it is, and the guys, you can see they're pumped up. They're ready to go. It's going to be underway very shortly, and it's going to be war for 80 minutes.
National anthem.
Our home is goodbye sea. Our land abounds with nature's gifts, a beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia bear. In joyful strength, then let us sing. Come on, Lang Park, let's hear you one more time. Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are young and free. With golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds with nature's gifts, our beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair.
eyes on blocker Roach. He's fired up. The national anthem just sung by Graham Hendy. Just